Namaste from India. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to one and all watching this video. We are back here at Rapid Talks with Rachnaa, an initiative by Global Educators Fraternity powered by FUN2LEARN. Today, we have a very dear and a dynamic friend, Dr. Yolanda Peterson from Cape Town, South Africa. The more you talk about her, the less it is. So we will be hearing from her, mostly her story. I'll just give you a brief intro about Dr. Yolanda Peterson. She is a public speaker, avid writer, and a mother of a 7-year-old little girl, Grace. Dr. Peterson is actively involved in educating skills development, capacity building, and exposure to career guidance and employment opportunities. One second. And employment opportunities for our youth with an emphasis on the girl child, which is the heart of Global Educators Fraternity too. She is the Executive Director of the Strategic Project Management Company, we get SPMS in South Africa, driving women economic development. And that is, I think, how we both got connected, because me in person also works on women empowerment and education, quality education on girl child. She also works on supply chain of development projects. She has received a plethora of awards and associated with lot of national, international organizations. So today, let us hear her story, her negotiation skills for corporate companies, and I'm sure there is a lot to hear and learn from Dr. Peterson. So Dr. Peterson, when we start, I would like to start from the root. So share us something about your, any memory, anything about your childhood days, or like you are an entrepreneur now, a big name, we can say a woman, empowered woman, influencer kind of a thing. So how did the journey begin? So we would like to know about your childhood days.
Sure, Dr. Rachnaa. So, firstly, to all of the viewers that is watching, a warm welcome, a greeting from the southernmost tip of Africa, that is South Africa, and then in Cape Town, which I would biasly say the best part of South Africa, but all of South Africa is good. So, yes, let's take us a couple of years back. We are well on in age at the moment. So let's start there. We are no longer spring chickens. And we have had life experiences and we've had life journeys to date. So my background is I grew up in a township, if I might call it that. And my parents still stays in this township. It still exists today. And at the moment, as with any township, every time you go home, and I go home all the time because those are the kids that we are dealing with, we are helping with. And so, you're so, the socioeconomic problems and issues is in your face because now you're stuck with drug abuse, with GBV, with unemployment, with our kids not having any stimulants, no after-mural, extra school, after school, before school activities. Some households has mostly single parent households. And so that is the community that I come from. And a lot of times, and I find it a lot in my race, in my culture, when you come from a community and you've made it out of the community, mostly you do not want to be associated with that hurt and that pain. But we have such great mentors in South Africa where we're going, but we've come from there. We know the struggles. And when it gets year on year, the issues becomes worse. So maybe when we were younger, growing up in the slums, it wasn't as bad as it is today, but it still was the township. We were still disadvantaged. And this is why I have such a passion for our kids, because if I could, you can. If they could, all of you can too. So that is normally the message. And also for them to see, listen, don't tell me you don't know what it's like to grow up in a community like this. And, you sit up here and you're speaking about things. No, darling, I know. I come from there. I come from it. I am a product of a community like that. So my words is always to them whenever we're doing programs and they've come through a program, go back into your community and try and take the toolkit that you've now established through this training and try a small little venture in your community. It might not look like things will change, but it's going to change you to get out of there eventually. And that's our hope always.
Oh, that's lovely. Due to network issues, your voice was fluctuating, uh, but whatever I could hear, like it was so the journey hadn't been easy for you too,
No,
right?
no,
Yeah. And
not at all.
yeah, so just tell me, Yolanda, what the position, the status which you are having it today. Have you ever dreamt in your childhood days that you will be reaching this height?
I would say that, we are constantly growing, we are constantly evolving. We are very pleased for where we are at in life, but I think that for the sake of the generations to come, for our own children, we are constantly, continually pushing. I had a very solid house that I grew up in. My folks were very religious, they were extremely strict on the girl child. I am the only girl. I have two brothers, so the rules in our house were the rules that my parents set. And education was one of those big rules. So my parents, they sacrificed a lot to get us into very good, at that time in South Africa, it was private, almost Model C type schooling, and it was open school. So I got to go to a very good school. Education was always key. And I always say to the youth, my first year I studied, and my parents were so happy because now I'm the first one in the family who's got getting into tertiary education. And my dad is very proud. It's his livelihood and his hard work. And I remember opting to study internal auditing my first year. And I got into an institution that was also very high ranking at the time. And I blew it. I blew it. I literally played games in the canteen all the time, or I was sitting in IT class, IT lectures, and I was supposed to be sitting in finance lectures. So very soon. So I always tell kids, even if it's the first time you've tried, try again. But then something needs to click inside you. You're going to educate yourself. You're going to have to understand that yes, it's important for your family because it's their money that they're sending you to study on. Next time around, you're not that lucky. You have to pay for your own studies. And when I started having to pay for my own studies, I quickly became very serious about studying. And I enjoy learning, and I encourage that a lot. So even through the schooling part of my life, even through the educating part of my life, I have not always, first time around, did the right thing. And again, we take that back to the youth and kind of go, you can still do it. It's never too
Yeah,
late.
life is learning, learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Oh, true.
It's a round circle till the end of the our life. Each day we are learning new things. We are unlearning what is not required. And yes, what you mentioned, when you pay from your own pocket, you realize
You realize
you
quickly.
realize in India, this message should go to, I will say, Indian kids, because they don't realize the sacrifices, the amount of sacrifices their parents do for their kids'
Yes,
studies. So this message
yes,
that when you pay, you realize how much pain it is when your hard-earned money is wasted.
yeah.
Uh,
And as adults, sorry, Dr. Rockner, to break your word, as adults now, when you're younger, and we cannot fault our kids, our teens, our youth, because they do not understand the struggles of running your household, running a business, making sure things are paid, making sure that you are progressing, etc., etc. So their understanding of the sacrifice, my understanding of the sacrifice my parents made for me to remain in a township, because they could have moved out and lived a fairly good life, but then they decided jointly, we're going to give our children the best opportunity. Stay where we are at, but give them a shot at life. And it's true for my brothers. I have two brothers, and one of my brothers currently stays in Australia with his beautiful family. His wife is an advocate, and he took the same opportunity, where you literally run to town with it. You run to town with your education. You do what you can do, and you set a good life for yourself. So I think my parents are testimony of sacrifices that we did not understand back then. But when they look at us now in their older years, I'm sure they're going, right, that was the right decision. I would do it for my child. I would sacrifice for her education, or sacrifice for a better life for Grace eventually, and all children.
Wow, that's really great. So you spoke about the sacrifices, and I'm sure
Yeah,
most of the parents, they do sacrifice for the better
yeah.
quality, for a better life, healthy living for their kids. Most of the parents, they sacrifice. So now, uh, when I talk about you, who would you say, who was your inspiration or motivation behind all your success? Your parents or somebody else? Because it's always said there is always somebody behind the success of a woman, right? So who
Mm,
would you like to give the credit to?
that is so true. I've never been celeb craze. I don't think I was your regular teenager. I always looked at my surroundings, and I knew somehow inside me, and I'm speaking to any young girl or young boy, any older girl, woman or older man that's watching this, that's kind of going, but I feel that. I've always felt different. I always felt that life has to be more. There's got to be more. So I was always on this adventure, and sometimes to my detriment, and sometimes, it worked out beautifully because I've got such a balanced life experience. I cannot complain about the good parts. But to those who say, oh, I wouldn't change a thing, no, I would change all the things that I have done wrong. And that is why we also coach our youngsters to say, let this be a mirror to you. We cannot stop you from doing it, but I've been down that path. It didn't work so well. Let us help you redirect your thought process. And if you still want to venture down that line, then you're going to learn the life lesson. And we will then be here to catch your fall through programs, etc. But I always felt different. I always knew. So I did not look up to anybody per se, but I always knew that there was something that needed to come out of me authentically. And so I always knew that I was always filled with joy. I was always really bubbly, and I was always excited to learn. I always excited to meet people. I was always playing first team sports. I was just always in leadership positions. And for me, at that time, I did not understand how that shaped me, because I thought it was normal. I just thought it was normal being you. And that is a big message to our kids out there today, that has got all this technology at their disposal, that is becoming clones of so many things that social media portrays, and they try to emulate that, they try to become that. I'm saying, if you really want to be cool, step out of that lane. And even if you're running in your own lane, you are authentically you, because everybody else is already taken in this world. The only person you have is you. So perfect you, and work on your strengths, on your weaknesses, and try to learn what is your strengths, and then use that. Use that through life. But just be you. That's the most important message, especially in a world of everything is the same. The same old, same old. We need originality. And that's what
Very
GEF
lovely
does so
thought.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a very lovely and a practical approach. Due to it's rainy season in India here, so the network is just fluctuating, so I'm not able to pick up all your words. But what I could hear is it is really inspiring. This what you say. So now, see, you have been associated with the Global Educators Fraternity right from the initiation, right? It's almost 10 months of now, and you work on women empowerment, you work on girl child education and all. So how, if like you are our you can say you are our country coordinator, or if I'm not
Mhm.
wrong. So if we talk about promoting girl child education and women empowerment globally, so how would you initiate that if you are given that chance? So how would you initiate that?
Definitely looking at the overall GEF vision because I understand your vision so well. I think I've been attracted to your vision, and that is why 10 months later I'm still here. I'm still here supporting GEF. But I do think that, if we are going to take it into country to country, especially within South Africa, each country has their own needs that is country specific, but our global issues remains the same. And that's what I like about GEF, because you have taken the global issues and then you have plugged in with the best suited people around the world to get those global issues out into your portion of the world. And I've envisaged a similar module, a plug and play module, in all parts of the world, that leads up and ties into the global GEF vision. Education is key. Education of the girl child is key. Education access to opportunities and resources for our girl child is key. When it comes to our boy child and girl child, I know you do a lot of fun to learn activities, handwriting activities, encouraging the love to read and to learn, because we need the next generation. And this is what I like about GEF, because you guys are aligned to critical thinking. So you are amassing a new breed of youngsters from grades all the way through their schooling to start thinking thinking for themselves, and that comes with basic skills from young: reading, loving to learn, being inquisitive, having inquiring minds, and then we push that forward.
So we can count you in for our global promotion on women empowerment and girl child education always.
Absolutely, you have my 100% support.
We have
That's it,
already discussed this earlier also that we would like to do a lot, and you are also very keen on it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so Dr. Peterson, see, every successful person has to climb lot of hurdles and face lot of
Mm.
challenges, right? So, what are the challenges you faced during the journey, and how did you overcome that? Facing a challenge is okay, but how did you? So we would like to know the most important, like at times when you felt that there is no
Mm.
solution to it. So had there been any such case in your life, and how did you handle that?
Oh, absolutely. As women, we face so much heartache, we face so much tears, and yet when we go out there, we've wiped the tear and we've got the smile on our face and we are level-headed in our thinking. Life is never easy. I have gone through my challenges, and a lot of the challenges that have faced initially as I've cracked into the market was people look at you aesthetically and they do not think for a second that, what, this woman has something of value in terms of thinking, in terms of skill set, in terms of qualities and expertise to bring to the table. So that has always been, they look at you like a doll, and until you open your mouth or until you run a project. So that has been a lot of the struggle. And I mean, that is not even a struggle. I'm just saying, it's what women face. We constantly still coming up against walls like that. But now that we've brought our seat to the table, we are running projects and we are effecting change in our spaces. The, our surrounds think of us a little differently, but we had to fight for that. There were many times when I wanted to give up, when I simply wanted to give up because, it's always such resources. You want to do so much for the kids. You want to do so much on your programs. And you're always thinking, if I had an X amount, imagine what I would do with it alongside with my team. And then, you also have your personal challenges where I'm a single mum and I enjoy that. I enjoy my little girl very much. But even being a working business woman, single mum, is difficult. I think that even if you are married, being a working mother is difficult. It has its challenges. So constantly there's a balancing act. My advice to anyone would be your spiritual center. For me, I am Christian. I believe in God, and I take everything to God in prayer. So constantly, through our spiritual journeys, we are wanting to be transformed so that that transformation can manifest physically into our lives so that we can bless others. So that cycle also constantly continues. You have to be so strongly rooted in faith. You cannot make it any other way. There needs to be a higher power that guides us through the times where we go, right? That's it. I give up. I can't do this any longer.
So I can say you change the word from impossible to I am possible. And
Absolutely.
nobody can stop a determined woman, like a woman
No.
who is determined to win, nobody can stop her.
No, and especially a determined woman that has
Yes.
been down and she has risen. There's no tornado on earth that can stop us.
Right.
I
Right.
often say, we are ordinary women, Dr. Rachna. We're just ordinary women trying our utmost to do extraordinary things. And that is always my motto.
Oh, lovely. So now in brief, a very short brief, you can tell our audience a short brief about your commercial venture which you are running. I'm sure our viewers would like to know more about you. So they can go to your page, but a short profile like what you do.
Hmm? Sure. So project management, there's two parts to me. So there's the Dr. Yolanda part that does business as a businesswoman, and then there's a part to me that runs and goes with my passion. So my business is very straightforward. I run a strategic project management company. You come and you tell me what your vision is, what your product and your service is, and I will devise an entire plan for you end to end. And then we will try and plug and play and see what supply chain, if it's a product that you need, to get onto the market. So that's one side of my business. My business is solely within projects, the project management space. The next part of my business is mining, and I am currently busy with two deals, and we will leave it right there. But again, it is project management, it's logistically coordinating 5 different countries so that that deal can go and get over the line. And then my best bet within supply chain and within mining is to bring the women in there. So whether that is women in supply chain, women in project management, or women in mining, which is a big project of Big Get. So that is what I do as a business. So I don't sit around and talk all day and, go to hotels as people think, and I'm always at nice places. I think the last week I got 37 new gray hairs, just based on the mining side of business. But my passion is facilitating, it is coaching, it is empowering, capacity building, skills development, like I said, amongst our youth, and especially an emphasis on the girl child, women economic empowerment, which sits on my business side. And then I do a lot of corporate training as well. in terms of dispute resolutions, negotiation skills, training, mediation, arbitration, etc., etc. I had the privilege of speaking at a beautiful event, a ladies' event on Saturday past, and so I am a public speaker as well. Depending on the topic, we have sat on very many topics, Dr. Rachna, where some is linked to the United Nations, and we speak factual things. And then I had a topic like on Saturday where I was able to pour out my heart to those ladies.
Oh, lovely. So now I have a surprise for you. Can you guess what?
You're coming to South Africa. Yes.
That you are inviting me. You already messaged me long.
I told you the door's open. The door is open.
uh, we like Global Educators Fraternity team. We all decided we were just thinking, would you like to head our women's team? Global Educators Fraternity women team. We would like you to lead the team and do whatever we can do on women empowerment, on girl child education, virtually whatever we can do, and gradually we will be moving on to the physical mode, offline mode also. So are you ready? Are you willing to take the responsibility?
I am willing, and I shall officially report back as this sinks into my brains, but exciting, very exciting.
Yeah,
It
if
is the
you,
best probable path.
Yolanda, yeah, if you remember long back, I said I will start this talk show again with you. If you
Yeah.
remember, we had planned that long back, but since something or the other was coming up, and every situation has a right time to come in, and I think today is the right time. So I thought, why not announce it publicly? Just a thought came in my mind. So I thought, why not announce this publicly? So with this, we will have another, and soon we will be having another meeting where you will be taking charge, discussing. So before we wind up, just one message for today's women. See, we all are influencers. We all came out of our comfort zone, right? Because success is not easy until and unless you step out of your comfort zone. You, me, and there are hardly, you can say 20%, not even 20% female who come out of their comfort zone and success is waiting for them. But what message you would like to give to for today's women who hesitate to step out and to take the challenge of exploring the success? Because there are most of the females, they always complain, or they said there is nobody to support us, they need somebody to motivate them. See, I personally believe I can't inspire myself, I can't motivate myself, then how can somebody else do it for me? First, I need to be self motivated, I need to be self inspired. So what message you would like to convey to those women of our society?
Sure. I think with ladies, our problem is that we are our own worst self critic. My words to you, ladies, is stop. Stop. You are able, you are willing, and you can. Is it going to be easy? No. Will you have times when you want to give up? Absolutely. But are you worth it to you? Is your internal value of such a high level that you do not need the external validation? Even when people can't see anything happening in your life, even when you cannot see the movement yet, do you value yourself enough to know that I'm going to get to the level that I have set out for me, that I desire for me inside of my heart? And once you get to that point where you are enough to you, then the world's your oyster. Just continue reaching for your dreams. What other women can do for other women, encourage our sisters. Encourage your sister. You know what? Encouragement is not always just a clap on social media, but it is a kind word spoken. It is a smile given in the street. It is an acknowledgement. I see you, sis, and you're going to do it. And you know what? We women, we thrive off that from our sisters, knowing, I know, you know the struggle, but together we can. So if you are thinking that you're unable to, think again and start with your value as you define yourself, not as the world defines your value.
So this was Dr. Yolanda Peterson, all the way from Cape Town, South Africa, full of positivity. She embraces and accepts the change and the challenges, whatever it comes in, and what the message she gave. Challenge the world. Yes, I can, I will, and I will definitely do. Then only if you wish to change the world, then only the change will happen. So the change starts from within. So this was a message, a positive message from Dr. Yolanda Peterson. And with this, I congratulate Dr. Peterson for heading Global Educators Fraternity Women's Wing. And soon you will find a lot of things happening with this. Goodbye. See you next week with another guest, maybe from India, maybe from any other country. So stay tuned with another Rapid Talks with Rachnaa with a new guest. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. See you all.
Bye bye.